So how much is a McChicken worth? Is it $1? Inflation makes that not the case. At least two, right? I'm not even sure. I haven't been to McDonald's in a long time. Is it worth a human life? And if you know what I'm referencing, you'll maybe understand what I'm getting at, but there's active boycotts of McDonald's, and there have been for a long time, as it relates to their role in politics. And I can't even say it without getting censored, which is probably indicative of the state of things. But beyond McChickens and the fact that once I stopped eating McDonald's, I no longer miss or care for McChickens, there's a recurring thought or series of thoughts I've had about the world and the impact and responsibility we have over our choices and decisions. You hear a lot about how there's no ethical consumption under an unethical system, which is what we see in capitalism. It's a pretty famous line. You've probably heard it. And as I'm getting older, the less and less I resonate with that phrase, but it depends on how you say it. To say there's no ethical consumption almost feels like defeatism and like pessimism. And I understand the narrative, or at least the point that's trying to be made, which is basically that under a system that is so unjust and unethical, where a lot of our products and experiences and general engagement with the world, the backbone of that is exploitation. It's exploitation of people, their labor, their time, their energy. It's exploitation of the environment. It's exploitation of everything around us. So I think that phrase, there's a jet going by right now. An airplane, not a jet. So there is that exploitation, and it's supposed to offer you some sort of solace or comfort where you can be like, hey, I don't have to feel so shitty or guilty about all the choices I make, no matter what, no matter how you're living, no matter how you try. You are a unethical consumer in some way, shape, or form. Does that mean the guilt or the blame or the responsibility completely falls on you? No. But can you also say that you carry no weight? You carry no responsibility? You carry no agency? That's also no. And that's why I've been not relating to the phrase as much as of late. And it reminds me of that character from The Good Place. I forgot his name. Was it like Doug something? Doug Dimmadome? No. That's Fairly Odd Parents. The character from The Good Place who just tried everything in his power to live completely ethically, and it's so, like, it's just egregious how hard it is to do so. But we can try our best. And I truly think we can try our best. And if that means not eating some McChickens because the price and the cost of those McChickens is not just the inflated price we see nowadays, which is already symbolic of how corporations are squeezing out record profits in times of record turmoil. But I think we see that there's nothing worth that price, because the price paid is the lives of people. I just finished, I'm actually halfway through, of this Middle Eastern film or series of short films called There Is No Evil. And I watched the first couple, and I won't spoil things, but I'll generally describe it, so if you're interested, you can check it out. And the films are about what it's like to have to be the executioner for death row inmates in Iran. Like the people who actually follow through and finish the job. And the experiences of what that's like, what their lives are like, and the weight and moral dilemmas that come with it, right? Because often they're in a position where it's very hard for them to have a choice. It's required duty. It's something that if you don't follow through on it, there are consequences. But then you also get to see And the film does this beautifully. You get to see them go about their lives, what they care about. You see their humanity as well, but also them having to live with the weight of their actions. It's really amazing. I never really thought I would watch some Middle Eastern cinema randomly, which, I mean, I'm Middle Eastern, you'd think I would, but for a long time I would just follow what's popular rather than what my mind and my curiosity truly wanted me to follow. And I found something really great and something really interesting and thought-provoking to watch. And so this, tying back to our consumption under capitalism, really makes me think about how we are in such proximity to these webs of exploitation and destruction and even death. And even though we may not see it directly, some of us are more directly related and directly, what's the word? Culpable? Maybe bear more of the weight. We're talking like the corporations and the leaders who are dumping all the oil into the oceans, the politicians who are signing off on these ultimately what are known as like power grabs and playbooks, the elite and the wealthy who orchestrate a lot of these things for their own self-interest and benefits. Yeah, they carry a lot of weight in that web of death and destruction, but so do we. So do we. And it's often in the unseen ways, such as what you consume, how much you prioritize your convenience and comfort over the lives of others. Because all the information is out there. Where we get our clothes from, this is from Uniqlo. This is not coming from a moral high ground or judging perspective, but out of a purely reflective perspective. And yeah, like, we're all a part of it in our own way. And so I want to bring up a personal anecdote, and I don't want to say it from a place of trying to air anything out, but hopefully I can keep it as vague as possible. So I had a friend. It was a childhood friend I grew up with, and we haven't really talked over like the last several years. Just life paths diverged, did different things. You guys know how it goes. And I went to his wedding a while back. I believe it was last May. It honestly may have been 2 years ago. The months are blending in kind of a good way, but also a not so good way. But it's all good now. So I went to his wedding a while back, and we caught up a little bit, and we talked. He mentioned to me that he works at Raytheon. And the first reaction I had in my head was like, oh man, like Raytheon? What do I know about Raytheon, right? I'm pretty sure they're a manufacturing company for like military weapons, actual bombs, or just weaponry of some sort. I don't quite know the specifics, but they're definitely tied to and a big part of the military industrial complex. And so when he mentioned that to me, in the moment, I didn't really say much, and I kind of regret not saying something, but I didn't want to come off as preachy, and also we haven't talked in forever. I was just there to show support and to catch up. And it's similarly like, no matter how I describe it, it's not from a heightened judgment perspective, but I do have my perceptions and opinions and judgments of it. So I'm not coming at my friend, but I am assessing it from my perspectives and values. And I can't help but think about how Raytheon is a direct link to that massive web of death and destruction that I talk about. And he works in software, like technology. He's not the person signing off on the manufacturing contracts, the defense contracts. He's not the person dropping the bombs. He's not the person doing all of these things high-level Raytheon, but he's working a pretty prominent software position within the company. Pretty prominent is like, I don't know. It's like, I can't determine how high up or valuable or not his job is. I don't know much, as I said. But my point being is, he is linked to that web in that way. And on my level, I think, like, when it comes to where you dedicate your time and energy and effort, I could never see myself working for a company like Raytheon without feeling a strong moral weight and just like this nagging guilt on my conscience of like, I'm contributing in a way that hits too close to home. I mean, I think about the fact that I'm wearing a Uniqlo shirt. I can't work for Raytheon, you know? It's like there's levels to it. And I understand. That's the thing. It's like, it's not that I don't understand. And so I'm going to diverge a bit from talking too much about him and his life specifically, but, you know, he has people to take care of. He has to make money. But does it have to be in that way? If you're skilled and you're skillful and it takes really extra effort to find something to still support yourself, in this world, it's not guaranteed, right? It's not guaranteed you quit working somewhere like Raytheon and you get a job at some company that's less harmful to the world. But I think the effort and the consequence of it is worth the guarantee for me. But I can understand how that would be a much more difficult decision in the moment where you are. But I guess I want to leave you guys with the fact that our decisions have consequences, and how much effort and sacrifice are you willing to really make to align yourself with your conscience and your values. And I personally think those things are priceless, because those are the things that weigh on you day in and day out. Those are the things you may think about down the road when you think about your overall contribution to the world, your regrets. And I just don't really want to have any of that. Like, I don't want to be at the end of my life and be like, I was overall a net negative for the world because I prioritized the safety, security, convenience, comfort over what I know in my heart is true. I can't like get rid of the thought that I'm like a hypocrite. And it's like, aren't we all kind of hypocrites in that sense? But we have a responsibility to maybe try to be less. That's how I feel about it. And if I can live my life where I'm not constantly in this double standard, it's not from a place of righteousness, but from a place of doing what is right for me. So, I ask you again, what is a McChicken worth? Is it $1? $2? A human life? I guess we'll see. That's it for this video. Peace.